South Florida, it is Wednesday, April 23rd. Oh, you'll hear the sounds, right? You hear the sounds of the Panthers winning. We'll play it in the background all day long. They had a good start to the playoff run. Hey there, I'm Eric Yutzi.
And I'm Alex Finney. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We do begin this hour with the passing of Pope Francis. The Pope's body has officially been transferred from his residence at the Vatican to St. Peter's Basilica, where he will lie in state today for a public viewing. His coffin being carried into church by fellow clergy members.
Thousands of people lining up to say their goodbyes to the pontiff. You're looking live right now inside, long lines stretching from inside the church to outside St. Peter's Square, and that is where we find Local 10's Janice Fernandez.
She's live with more as the 9 days of mourning are now underway. Hi, Janice.
Hi, Alex and Eric, and this is really the first time the public gets their chance to say their final goodbyes. We were here as that procession was wrapping up, as the casket was entering St. Peter's Basilica. We saw a line starting to form, but it was moving quickly. But boy, have things changed. Just take a look here. Not just one line, but there are several lines all around St. Peter's Square leading inside the Basilica, as thousands are hoping to get inside to pay their respects to the pontiff. And this is what's going on outside. But if you take a look now at these live pictures from inside St. Peter's Basilica, you can see the steady stream of people walking in, saying prayers, saying their goodbyes, and you can see Pope Francis's casket. It is just right in front of the altar there, a moment that is surely historic. But again, this is really the chance for the public to say their goodbyes before his funeral on Saturday. Day 3 of mourning, beginning with the public finally being able to see Pope Francis one last time. Cardinals dressed in traditional red, leading the procession of Pope Francis's casket, leaving from Casa Santa Marta before going up the steps to St. Peter's Basilica, also escorted by the Swiss Guard and carried by pallbearers.
His presence was like, I felt the presence of Jesus, because he loved to stay with the people. That's what I feel.
And it is just after 10 a.m. Those doors to the Basilica don't open until 11 a.m. But just take a look. You can see the line is already forming behind me, and they still have a long way to go. This line has to go ahead and pass through those columns you see there, then go through security before entering the Basilica, where they're able to pay their final respects to Pope Francis. They expect to see crowds like this for the next coming days. The procession moving as psalms were sung and bells rang, a crowd looking on to capture the moment, even those who aren't as devout wanting to witness this historic moment.
It may be an occasion to learn something new, and I feel it's a good opportunity to do that.
And back out here live, we've been talking to so many people who have come by. And like you heard right there, everyone with different reasons of why they want to experience this moment. Of course, there are those who are very faithful and very devout. Others simply wanting to witness history, because this is no doubt a big moment and so much more to come. But again, you see the line here. Thousands, really tens of thousands of people are expected to come out to pay their respects to Pope Francis. And you can even hear a little bit of chanting. So everyone having sort of different reactions to this. Some feeling very mournful, some feeling very reflective, some are celebrating. So lots of different emotions that we're experiencing here at St. Peter's Square. And so much more to come as well, Alex and Eric, because this is something that is going to last for the next 3 days until Pope Francis's funeral on Saturday.
Janice, people experiencing mourning in so many different ways. We understand, and you were there as a part of the process when they transferred the Pope's body from his residence across the square into the Basilica. The bells were tolling. We understand sometimes people were breaking out in applause like we just heard behind you. So many different ways people showing their respects for the Pope this morning. What have you seen?
And that's such a good point you bring, Eric, because yes, there was that moment that as the casket finally made its way here to St. Peter's Basilica, the crowd broke out in applause. And that's really because people do want to celebrate the life of Pope Francis. He was a very beloved Pope. A lot of people have nicknamed him the People's Pope. So even though, yes, it is sad and it is a time for mourning to lose a Pope, for him to pass away, it is also time to reflect on his life and the messages that he was able to present as Pope. So there is a a little bit of that celebration, celebrating his life. And like the Catholic Church will say, this is the end of one era, but it will be the beginning of another, as soon another pope will be picked. So there's so much of a process here that takes place. A lot of it can be a bit pomp and circumstance, but it is really rooted in deep history. And for those who are very faithful, this is truly a special moment to witness.
Absolutely. And, you know, Janice, it's just so amazing to see the crowd there and so many people. I mean, just in terms of seeing all of this, it really, in a lot of points, does take your breath away when you look at the coverage here. We do want to ask you, how long will they be keeping the Basilica open to allow people to come and pay their respects?
So yes, they're changing the hours a bit. So the doors opened today, 11 a.m., of course, Rome time. It will stay open until midnight to try to allow as many people as possible to go inside and pay their respects. Tomorrow, the Basilica will open at 7 a.m. and will stay open again through midnight. The only change is on Friday, while it will open at 7 a.m., they plan on closing earlier at 7 p.m. And that is because they're going to need that time and that space and that reflection as they get ready for Pope Francis's funeral that will be Saturday. So they are extending those hours. They're hoping that everyone who wants to will get the opportunity to experience this really historic moment.
Just the beginning of those 9 days of mourning. Janice Fernandez live for us this morning in Vatican Square at St. Peter's Square. At so much of what the world is watching happening right behind you this morning. And stay with Local 10 for continuing coverage on the Pope's passing. Janice will continue her live coverage all week long.
And leading up to the funeral this weekend, live coverage starts at 4 a.m. Saturday Eastern Time.